everyone, I thought it would be fun to do another little piece from this page here. This is from Worlds Within Worlds by Kerby Rosanes and Rosanes? I don't know. And I coloured this this succulent terrarium before, which was great fun. And I thought I would have a go at this windmill because it's quite a bit different to the other one. Just zooming in a little bit. So we've got a windmill in this sort of ball with a hole in it. What I'm going to do is colour the windmill in the main picture first and then think about how to deal with this piece after. Now I realise that Kerby's pictures can be quite intimidating because of all the little tiny details all over the pictures, but actually I have learned to realise that these are actually quite an advantage to us when we're colouring, and I'll explain why as I start with some colours. I'm going to use Polychromos pencils. I think that's what I use for those. I'm not sure, can't really remember. But anyway, I'm going to start with the windmill blades. And I'm not really sure whether they're normally made of wood, but that's sort of how I think of them. So I'm going to grab a brown. It's actually a brand new brown. This is a burnt umber. It's a lovely new pencil. And I'm going to just start colouring. I'm just going to do a lightish, I guess medium pressure layer across these blades to start with. So what I find, if you look carefully at all the detail that Kerby has put in, so we've got all this crisscross detail. We're not going to colour each of these little bits a different colour. It actually provides us with some texture for the picture. So we actually makes it easier for us when we're colouring to, we can colour over it in one colour and it will already look quite finished because of the texture he's given us. Also here we've got bits of texture here and here, and those show us where the shading needs to be, so it's actually again advantageous. Now I don't know if you can see what I'm doing with my colouring while I'm chattering along, but I will explain what I'm doing on this one. So I am starting with an even colouring of this pencil, and then at each end I'm just going in a little bit darker, just add another layer, and then a little bit less towards the centre, like that. And I just think it makes it a little bit more interesting. Maybe it makes it look a little bit shiny. Now with these blade bits, I'm thinking it might be a little bit lighter. I'm not really sure. I haven't looked up a windmill, so I don't know. So I'm going to use the raw umber, again a brand new pencil, treating myself today, and just going to go over these bits. And it actually looks quite dark because of all the mark. I'm ignoring this, I'm going right over it. I will show you my plan on that bit later. I realise that what Kerby is trying to get us to do is to think of this as being on top and being a different colour, but I think it's see-through glass. So I'm colouring the colour through, and I'll show you. And you can decide after, unless you're following me colour as you go, you can decide after whether you're happy with what I'm doing or whether you want to do something a little bit different with your glass. So here we have this bit. And same for this one, so it's just a gentle layer. But I am going to just add a little more detail to this bit and then we'll be done. Oh, excuse my voice. I just want to make it a little bit darker under here on each of them, along where this, because I think this bit is going to be standing out a bit. And so if we put a darker piece under here, it acts like a sort of shadow. I'm also going to do it there and here around this, so it just looks like this bit, this solid bit, is just standing out a little bit. Hopefully we're not going to overdo it too much, just a little bit, and that's all we're going to do with those, nice and simple. Now I think this is going to be wood, but I'm looking in here and I'm not sure whether these pieces are supposed to be that you're looking in, like they're open or not. I'm not quite sure. So anyway, I'm going to grab some other colours to do the wood. Again, I've got brand new browns, it's quite a novelty. I'm going to use the Bistre for the main part, and I'm going to go over in quite a light tone to start with. I'm not pressing very hard, I just want a light initial layer. Again, I'm just going over the top of this. You can choose not to. When you see what I do later, you might decide nah. So I'm going to go over the whole thing and apparently out of the lines with this, and then think about what we're doing with the, I'm only going to go to the bottom of here. Might change the colour at the bottom, I'll decide in a minute. It's got a rough layer, and I'm going to use Kerby's shading as a guide. So go in really dark here and here, like that, and here. So it looks like there's some shape to that top, yeah? And here we've got a really, I'll just make sure those are coloured, a really dark bit in there. And as you colour over the top, the dark that Kerby's drawn really then shows up. So you can just use Kerby's design as a help. Now here I'm thinking this looks quite dark, yeah? We've got a sort of crisscross sketchy bit there, but it doesn't go all the way up, so I think I'm going to just fade the colour up here and do the same on this side. I think the idea is that these two bits are to the side, so they're not catching the light which is coming straight on from the front. We do have a little bit darker here as well from the way the lines are drawn. There you see? And I'm just going to put a little bit more colour on the centre because I've missed a few areas. I just want to tidy it up. There we go. Okay, now we've got the bit down here. I think I am going to stick with this pencil. With this bit here, I'm just going to go over a bit. But I'm going to do just above it a bit of a dark line so that it looks like it's sticking out a little bit. And then this bit I'm going to go a bit darker at each end. Right, here I'm just going to go over this whole bit firstly, like I did with the top part with my brown. I realise I've got some windows down here which I need to play with in a minute, but I'm okay with doing it like this for now. Okay. So I'm going to go into these areas where we've got the dark pen lines and make them much darker. So Kerby is showing us how to darken up those bits there. Now here we've got a sort of roof. I'm going to do a little bit darker underneath it so it makes it look like it's standing out, and a little bit darker above this very bottom part. Now the windows I want to brighten up a little bit. I have coloured over them, I realise that. I'm going to use this is green gold, and just go in each window with this. Hold the book still because we're doing quite a small area. I want them to show up a little bit, but not too madly. I don't want the windows to be the star of the show. I'm just going to do the same on these windows while I'm at it. Yeah, so that's that. I'm going to grab my Bistre back to do this bit. So again, like before, a light layer over the whole thing. And then we'll see what Kerby has tried to show us to do. Try and avoid those windows a bit because we've put some green gold in there, but it's not really showing up anyway, so I'm not going to worry too much. We've got a piece of post there too. Okay, so I'm looking at this and we want some dark around here because it's sitting behind the windmill. I'm going to use the burnt umber for that. And just go along here with a dark line, and hopefully it will just settle it back just a tad. And then with the roof, I'm going to take that dark, I'm just going to sharpen this, it's getting a little bit blunt for my liking. So with the roof, I'm going to take this darker area and just expand it along just a little bit to emphasise that, and we're going to do the same on the chimney, but I'm going to do that whole bit there a little bit darker. Under here, darker, just a little bit each side, and again just take a slightly darker bit from there, and here and here. Okay, there's our house. I'm just checking I've done all of those areas. Now we do need to do the tree trunks, and I'm going to choose a different brown for that, just so that we don't have everything looking too much the same. This is the Van-Dyck Brown, again a nice new brown. I'm very lucky, aren't I, all these new pencils. And we've got a little bit of brown here, a little bit of trunk. It's not always easy to quite make out, but I don't think it's that important because we've got all this sort of busyness going on. You can sort of almost be quite free and easy with your colours. Spread that out. There we go. I'm not doing anything too amazing with those. Now we've got our trees. I don't want our trees to be too dark. I want to brighten this picture. This almost looks like a sepia photograph. I don't want the rest looking like that. So I'm going to go for a nice bright colour. We've got this permanent green, which I think is fun. And I'm going to do all the trees in the same colour. And just do a layer of this first. So all of the foliage in this nice bright green colour. I think this will help it start standing out. I want this picture to look pretty, and you'll see how I develop the colours in a bit. And although I like the windmill and it's really pretty, I want to make other parts also look pretty. And I didn't think a multicoloured windmill would quite work, so we're going to add colour elsewhere. And because these fields in front of the windmill, I think they're tulip fields. In some of the pictures here and some of the images they are. So I'm going to make these tulip fields as well, so we can get some nice colour in there. And that'll be really fun, and it'll lift the whole picture, I think. But these bushes, we'll just do them in this shade of nice bright green. I will add a second green in a bit to add a little bit of shadow in some areas, and you'll see that in a moment, but it's nice to just get a base over. I'm doing a circular motion because I think that imitates a sort of bush-like texture on there, and if there's a bit of white showing through, I don't mind too much. I'm just trying to make out where all the bush areas are. I'm going to do that bit as well in the same colour. I think it will work together nicely, and we've got these bushes and trees over here too. I think that goes right to the edge there. Now the texture in the bushes that Kerby has drawn for us, we don't necessarily need to worry about trying to colour the different bits different colours. You know, we can just use it to help our colour stand out. So that's rather useful. Again, it's quite, if you just use one colour, it's really simple to colour. I'm going to grab a slightly darker colour. I'm just having a look and picking what I want. I want something that will show up as significantly darker. So I think I'm going to go for this Chromium green Opaque. I'm just going to give it a sharpen because I want to get into some details with it. And what I'm looking at doing is where the bushes and trees overlap each other, to put a little bit of darker colour, like here and here, so that it helps it look slightly more three-dimensional, which I think is fun, like that. And actually looking at the shapes of the bushes and putting the details in. Like that. Oops. And around the edge, yeah, and a little bit here. It does take away some of the brightness of the tree, but it just adds a little bit more to the picture, I think. There we go. So we've got those bushes and trees. They look quite fun. I think I might just go over them in one more colour just to finish them off. I'm going to use this grass green just to go over the whole thing. I find that polychromos do need layering up a little bit. And having seen, I said it didn't matter too much about leaving white paper, but actually I felt it just needed brightening. and intensifying a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do with this pencil. You can choose whether you want to do this or not, whether you think it was okay with just the initial layers of colour. And we do have, this is quite faded looking, with it's one layer, but I mean, you might want to add more to that as well, or not. It's entirely your choice, your picture, your creativity. I always think I'm not very creative. My husband laughs at me when I say that. I just think I'm not very original. But anyway, let me have a look at the time. Right, I don't have lots of time for videos at the moment. So what I'm going to do is split this into 2 parts. So I'm going to leave that here and do a second part to this video. Because the next bit could take some time. The sky, for example, might take a little bit of time. And my son has also just messaged me and I need to go and answer that. So I shall make a second video with the rest of the picture. So thank you for watching and happy colouring.